So what's up, y'all? This is Cody Demps, and this is Just Hoop Talk.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Just Hoop Talk. You're with Justin Henry, Will Thompson, and Cody Demps today on the episode. And today we're going to be talking, of course, finals, but we're going to be diving a little bit into it. What are these teams doing right? What are the Lakers doing to get to that 3-1 lead? And do the Heat have a chance at coming back in this series? Also, we're going to talk about the impact of a win or a loss on LeBron's legacy and what these two teams are going to be doing moving forward. Stay tuned.
You are now tuned in to the next best thing. Justin Henry, Will Thompson.
Yeah,
Let's go.
y'all can talk that talk, but this is just Hoop Talk. Updates on the news, analysis who's who gon' win, who gon' lose. Is it true? Is it true? This is just Hoop Talk. This is just Hoop Talk. Ball.
All right, guys, in this episode, we're going to be talking obviously about the finals. And we got Cody Demps in here to help us along with that. Cody, my man, you've been enjoying these finals?
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad to be back to chop it up with you guys.
Yeah, and so I think it'd be a good idea for us to just kind of dive in and just see exactly what these teams are doing. Obviously, the Lakers are up to a 3-1 lead at this point, and it looks like this series could be headed over quick in a hurry. The Heat got Bam back, and they still took the loss the other day. And so we're heading up to the final game of the series. Cody, I want to talk to you a little bit about what do you think are the Lakers doing that's just getting these Heat, because the Heat, obviously, they were down 0-2. The Heat fought back, and then it's like the Lakers, no matter what, they had to answer. What do you think that they're doing right to kind of stifle what the Heat got going on?
To be honest, I really think it's just LeBron's greatness really coming into play here. Like, you see him putting up these consistent stats in year whatever he is deep into his whole career. And so I think when you have that leader that's been there, that knows how to win, and then when he has like another piece like AD where he could just shove it off and get some buckets as well, it's really tough for any team to try to beat up with that. And plus the Heat being even though they got Bam back, it's still super tough to come back from an injury. Like, if you're not feeling 100%, you're definitely not going to play your best because you're always going to be thinking about, ooh, I might cut wrong. It might hurt this even more. So it's going to be even tougher uphill battle for the Heat from here.
Yeah, Will was kind of talking a little bit about that, just coming back from injury and the impact. Will, you saw Bam come back for Game 4. Obviously, they've already kind of dealt with a couple injuries. What are you thinking this Heat team can do with the injury bug, man?
Yeah, I questioned this a little bit before the game started and Bam coming back, and I was disappointed not to see more of Kelly Olynyk. I thought that gave the Heat a little bit of an advantage. It was pulling Anthony Davis away from the basket. That was his worst game by far, was the game that Bam was out. And obviously Bam brings a lot defensively that Kelly Olynyk doesn't. But I think you're not going to shut down AD. You're not going to shut down LeBron. You got to try to outscore these guys at some point, right? And so I thought I was disappointed to see a lot less of Kelly Olynyk in this last game. I understand Bam is probably overall the better player, definitely a better defender and rebounder, but I was kind of bummed to see that. And I don't know if we're going to see Dragic at all in this series. It's not looking like it. We'll see, man. We will see.
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to miss Dragic because you can see him when the clock's running down. I've seen him make a multiple tough shots. So he's their guy. Like, if it gets messed up, they're going to go to him. So that's the key piece that they're missing for sure.
Yeah, you got Kendrick Nunn that's replacing him, but it's like you can't replace that veteran presence on the court. You can't replace just what he's able to do. And kind of just being a shifty veteran, what they bring to the table in situations in the fourth quarter of games. It's like now you have to rely extra heavily on our younger 20-year-old rookie and Tyler Hero when Dragic can be one of those ball handlers or shot creators that they're missing right now on the floor. And it's tough. It's tough for Jimmy because he's hurt right now, obviously. Bam is hurt right now. And then you try to get replacement players that can get strategized for. I think we've seen Olynyk in Game 3, and that's probably what the Lakers are doing. They're strategizing for that now. They have the rotation matchups, and so it's probably tough to get those, those easier shots off. Do you think there's any adjustments, Cody, that the Heat can make to make a 3-game comeback?
Man, see, that's going to be tough. I really think they got to key in and try to force all those other guys to make shots. Like, that's something that you're going to have to live with. And, Like you got KCP like in Kuz and stuff making threes. I'd rather live with that shot than having LeBron running down the paint and dunk it. And so I think you got to live with the numbers. If they have a great game, then you guys got beat. You got to give it to them. But I'm definitely trying not to let LeBron beat me.
Yeah, you can tell that's where they're going. The focus is on LeBron and AD. And, I mean, you can't really stop either of those guys. But if you're having KCP on an off night shooting 2 for 10 from long range, or Danny Green 3 for 14 or whatever the case may be, it does make for a tougher night. But I want to go into a little bit more about LeBron. You mentioned his greatness a little bit earlier, Cody. And I'm going to swing this over to Will. We've talked a little bit about LeBron's legacy. Looks like he's coming up on a win. What does a win do for LeBron's legacy? He already has 3 championships. They're debating or not whether he's going to get finals MVP or not. What is this Laker win? What would it do for LeBron's legacy?
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to get finals MVP. Obviously, there's still another game left, so we'll see how he performs tonight. But I think it just moves him one step closer. You know, I think this is a big step forward for him. Having 3 championships with 3 different teams is huge as well. I think I saw he's the only player besides Kareem to have 4 MVPs and 4 championships. So he has more MVPs. Yeah, so he's moving closer. It just gets harder and harder to deny him the GOAT title, you know, as he could, especially in his 17th season in the league.
Yeah,
he continues to make strides and take steps towards being the greatest of all time. You can't deny it, you know?
Yeah, that basketball IQ is something different, and I think just being able to do it for as long as he had. Cody, we talked a little bit about it. I was like, dude, I got LeBron as my GOAT already.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where you got him ranked, man, and as somebody who's currently playing, man, talk a little bit about where you have LeBron ranked in your all-time list and his legacy.
Yeah, I think it's so hard to try to compare a guy while he's still playing. Like, I think people rarely get enough credit. They usually get the credit when they're done, when people are able to look back from a kind of wider perspective and see how they've changed the game and how much tougher he made it on other players. And so I don't think he's ever going to get the credit that he probably deserves until he's done and people are done seeing LeBron. And so so being him, man, he's definitely got to be in, like, my top 3. Like, I'm a big Kobe fan. I've been Kobe since day one. But I think this man has just sustained his greatness for so long. That's something that we've never seen before. And so he's definitely probably my number 1.
What is it about LeBron, though? Because, you know, obviously he's got the stats, and obviously we know his off-the-court legacy as well. But what is it about LeBron that you think gets under people's skin, you know? Because they're like, man, you bring up MJ and you bring up LeBron, it's like it becomes a fight, like a fight of who's right. But I think, you know, if you have the basketball mindset, you can appreciate both of their individual greatnesses. But what is it about LeBron you think that people are just like, man, I don't like this guy. He'll never, ever, no matter what he does, be past Jordan?
I think it's kind of like his mentality. You see MJs and the Kobes, they're guys that they might not have many friends off the court because they're just so demanding on the court. And I see LeBron as a guy that's going to be kicking it with his homies. That's going to be probably a different type of leadership that doesn't match up to what people consider to be like the greatness leadership role, which was the MJs and the Kobes. So he's doing it differently, which probably I think rubs some people the wrong way.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see that. You know, you see that obviously, and I think that's what people want him taking the last shot. People want him being a villain or like being super aggressive.
And he's okay with dishing it off for the last shot. Like, that's
making
his
a smart play.
Yeah, that's his style.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you can go take a contested shot at the mid range, or you can kick it out and get the guy who's paid to hit that corner 3 to get that bucket. Like, that's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
You think you can win with style like that, Will? You think that that's a style, like, moving forward? You think that MJ's style is the style that people want to win with, or do you think it's the LeBron style that has a better impact on the court? Because people receive that differently too. In sports, it's really competitive. You're dealing with a lot of people who super winners, don't take losing very well, always want to take the last shot. You think that's a sustainable model, the LeBron model, for winning in the future? Or you think it's more that MJ, I got to get it myself type of view?
Yeah, I think what's really important is that those types of people recognize who they are as soon as possible in their career. and then they build teams around them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd have to understand, like, certain guys can play with certain players. And I think LeBron realized that pretty early on in his career. And maybe it took Jordan a little bit longer to figure that out. But you could tell guys that they put around Jordan in Chicago were the right type of guys. And the guys that LeBron has around him now are the right type of guys. You know, you couldn't put a Dwight Howard on a team with Michael Jordan, bro. It would not work. We saw with Kobe, right? Like, it's not going to work. That dude's too sensitive, you know? But you put him in a situation with LeBron where he's kind of a nicer guy, and, you know, Dwight Howard flourishes, right?
I saw a whole bunch of MJ, Dwight Howard getting poked by MJ in my head right there when you said that, bro.
Yeah.
No, man. Well, I mean, that's a good point. And, you know, in the team structures around the players, and both of these teams are set up for success moving forward. Obviously, making a finals appearance and winning or losing either way. The Lakers and the Heat both have really strong teams and strong cultures built for not just this season, but for multiple seasons. With the Heat loss, where do you feel like their future is moving forward, Cody? Do you feel like this team can make multiple championship runs, or do you feel like this is just an overachieving season by a tough team?
I kind of think they're not complacent to be where they're at, but they're definitely happy to make it to the finals. Like, this was a team that I don't think many people had making it to the finals when the season started. And so now they've able to kind of see that they do have some nice, really young pieces that they have. So it's kind of – I actually feel like they're in a better position than any other team in the East right now, because I feel like a lot of other teams are built to win now. And so with them being in the East and having a lot of young guys that they could build around and that they know that are tough-minded and have that Heat culture that they always preach, I think they're happy to be where they're at. And so – and the Lakers – as long as you have LeBron, I think you'll be happy where you're at as well. So it goes both ways.
Dude, I mean, they're young. They're young, man. A lot of the guys, I got Duncan Robinson, Hero, Bam, Jimmy, they're all like –
yeah, I think they're real happy with what they got.
Their prime yet. And then they're surrounded by those veterans who are teaching them a lot, even having like Haslam on the bench, just sitting there coaching those guys individually, man. Get a lot of experience from a team with Pat Riley and Spoelstra who have been there along with those other vets for these young guys. I think you're right. It does really have a good foundation. Will, what are your thoughts on the same topic?
Yeah, I think I love the future of the young guys. I think Tyler Hero is a future star in the league. Bam is as well. Jimmy is a solid guy. And then you have the culture, right? You have a great coach. You have the culture. You can take those other guys and kind of just plug them in. And so I think we talked about this a little bit on another episode. Like, I think their future looks better than anybody else in the East, to be honest. And we'll see with the Brooklyn Nets how they look. Who knows, bro? Like, obviously they could be really good or they could be a disaster. But I think it's going to be those two teams, and then the Celtics kind of in the mix for winning the East for the next probably 4 to 5 years from now.
I got a question. What do you guys think that the Heat are missing to kind of make them the ultimate favorite, like the over-the-top favorite?
You know, it's a tough question because they have a lot of what you're looking for. They're a pretty balanced team. They have the superstar in Jimmy Butler. They have a defensive anchor down there in Bam who can play multiple positions, even bring the ball up the floor. They got the knockdown shooters with Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero out there. They have the point guard. It's in Nunn and in Dragic. They got the veteran play with Iggy and Crowder. They got depth on the bench. Like, I know it's tough because sometimes you just don't have the players to compete with the star like LeBron, like AD. So what they may be missing is just the level up from all these players. If they can get Tyler Hero to grow third star and that third 20-point scorer, I think you're looking at a different team. If you can get Bam to take his, you know, that star level he's playing at right now to elite superstar level, like that Jamal Murray type jump for him in these playoffs, like we're almost seeing with him, more on the defensive side than offensive. And then from Jimmy Butler, you know, just playing at a higher level. We saw a 40-point triple-double from him. We're going to need a lot more of that for him to even extend his range a little bit. So I like what the Heat are doing. It's just going to take a lot more development and growth from the players that they have. They're going to do some damage here in the East, man.
For sure.
Yeah, and I want to switch it over to the other team, the Lakers, man. They're on the opposite side. I feel like right now they're in win-now mode. They're in their prime. A lot of their players are old veterans. They don't have a lot of young talent. Will, what do you think about the Lakers window? Because LeBron is obviously trying to get 5, 6 to make this GOAT conversation a little bit more intriguing. You think the Lakers are built for a 3 to 5 year run?
I think you can see the sense of urgency with LeBron for sure. Like, I think he knows that this year and next year are going to be big for him. I don't really see them doing a whole lot past that. You can look at their guys and look at their roster and look at, older guys like Dwight, JaVale McGee. Like, these guys are all kind of in the highlights of their career. And how, I don't know. I don't know how long LeBron can keep playing at this level. Like, it seems like it should be ending soon. I'm looking like, okay, this year is great. Next year should be good. And then after that, I don't know. That's what, year 18 or like, that's crazy, dude.
Reaching
like,
20 soon.
Absurd, but as long as you have LeBron, the free agents will come, though. We know that. We've seen that. And, he's going to compete at a high level, and they're going to be it seems like every single year they're going to be in the championship conversation. So you can't really count that guy out. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in the West, see what happens with the Clippers and the Warriors moving forward. But it's not going to be easy. We know that for sure. It's not going to be an easy road for them because the West is only getting tougher. And, players like Luka are emerging as superstars. So, man, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough road.
Man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what about you, Cody? You feeling the same way? You got a different opinion on that?
No, I'd have to agree. I just want to maybe point out every team that LeBron leaves, they're going to go through a kind of a slump because every team that he's on, they're built to win now. Yeah. They're going to have a high turnover rate. Like you said, they're going to have free agents.
No, man. We gotta stay in there, man. Lakers got to stay in there, man.
It might be like that Kobe, post-Kobe depression that the Lakers went through. I think I can see that coming for the Lakers after LeBron leaves. But there are times to win now, and so I guess they're living in the present.
Yeah, and I don't know much draft capital that's left over with this team after they gave away a lot of the young talent. So
exactly,
we'll see. I'm hoping, man, we can get another 2-3 ships out of this thing, man. So I think that's possible. With a player like LeBron, we talked about legacy, obviously, but he's a player we've never seen before. He's played at this level for this long, at this high of a level, and really doesn't have a downturn coming in the near future. I don't see it, at least, especially with them playing more of that point guard role. But we'll see, man. That's the nature of the game, and I guess only time will tell. So, Cody, man, really appreciate you coming by, talking finals with us, man, talking LeBron, talking We'll definitely see you again. So be on the lookout. We got more episodes. We'll have a final episode, too, if the Lake Show ends it. But be on the lookout. Make sure you're subscribed to all podcast formats. Just Hoop Talk, another edition in the books. We're out.
Yes, sir. Peace.